Do you know the most common crime in America? It's identity theft, and it happens to 1 in 20 Americans. Don't be surprised if this happens to you. You log into your email account only to see the password was changed hours ago. Then you start getting notifications from your bank. That's when the panic sets in. And that's why I'm excited to partner with our new show sponsor, Aura. Aura offers identity theft protection and insurance, fraud monitoring, a VPN, password management, and antivirus software all in one easy-to-use application. They monitor the dark web for your emails, passwords, and social security numbers so you can get notified of any changes 4 times faster than Aura's competitor. Their VPN keeps your browsing history and personal information safe and encrypted, and their antivirus software blocks malware and viruses before they infect your devices. And all plans come with $1 million of identity theft insurance. Try Aura for free for 2 weeks and see if your information has snuck into the dark web. Go to Aura, AURA.com/Chael, or just click on the link below. Jorge Masvidal just did something very interesting. Jorge Masvidal, I get a text last night from Tommy from the Bronx, who's my source to everything Diaz. Tommy's informing me that Masvidal just called out Nate Diaz. I said, what did Nate say? He said, Nate said, sign me up. Okay. There's 3 guys in this sport who cannot do anything wrong. The 3 biggest stars in the sport in terms of a box office draw. Conor, Masvidal, anybody with the last name of Diaz. If you get 2 of those 3 together, you just took the very theme that I'm talking to you about and you multiplied it. Okay. So Masvidal going after Diaz, the reason I say it's smart is it works. It doesn't matter what happens. If Masvidal gets cleaned up by Covington, Masvidal Diaz works all day long. If Masvidal beats Covington, Masvidal Diaz works all day long. And George even told us, Masvidal, he told us why he did it. Did the call out, did it on Twitter. Said after I get done with Covington, if that doesn't get me to Usman, if I have to wait for Usman, was his exact words, then I'll fight you in the meantime. Boom, done, sold. He's right. He is not drawing it no matter what happens. Masvidal could knock Colby out in 2 seconds. He is not drawing into Usman. He's aware of that. I respect that. He needs something to do. Why take a huge risk? Why not do a huge night of business that everybody's watching and you get the same bump in your career anyway? It doesn't matter if he wins. That's if he wins. If he wins, he draws right into Nate Diaz. Boom. Nate will agree to that right now. Nate did agree to that. Nate agreed to that instantly as soon as he picked up his phone and read that it was even put out there. If Masvidal gets cleaned up by Covington, that fight still works. It's one of those things. And there's only 3 guys in our sport right now that's true, and I just named them for you, Conor, Masvidal, and the Diaz boys. They say there's only 2 guys in the history of boxing where that's true. That whatever they're doing and whoever they're doing it against, it's going to be massive. Oscar De La Hoya and Mike Tyson. I think that list needs amended. I think you need to add Floyd Mayweather to it. I did not recognize the human standing across from Floyd anywhere in his career with 3 exceptions. I got familiar with them. They did a great job with marketing and promotion. They did the 24/7s and the countdown shows. They just did a great job. But that's how I learned who that other person was. Not saying those weren't damn good boxers. I'm just saying they weren't household names. Floyd picked them for a reason, and Floyd would even refer to it as that. He would say, I picked you. He would not say you qualify, you've earned it. The rankings say the WBC and the IBF and the 3 other little letters that have some level of influence in boxing. He wouldn't say that. He would say that I picked you, but it was true, and they do a great night of business, and everybody would be thankful. MMA is the same way. We've only got 3. And throughout time, according to Dana, George St. Pierre was the only guarantee he had, and I think you would need to amend that. And I think you'd have to put Ronda in there. I think. It's very hard to know with Ronda because of promotion. We were lied to repeatedly, which frankly, it's none of our business. I don't mean to lie the bad way. But it was grossly exaggerated, the kind of draw that Ronda was. Okay, we'll go with that. So if you can get Diaz and Masvidal, it works no matter what. And nothing is more important in this sport or the job that you guys have right now, the job you do, you want to do a good job, and you want to be there on time, you don't want to leave early, and you want to have a good attitude, and you want to be very productive. I get of those things. But that would go in one category. The single most important thing that you can do at your job today is make sure that you have a job to come back to tomorrow. You would put everything, all those beautiful words that I threw out there, all those buzzwords, you would set them aside if you can know for sure you have a job to come to tomorrow. It is what Israel Adesanya does so well. Generally, when you're one of these big stars, Conor, Masvidal, anybody named Diaz, you don't have to do those things. Yeah, you don't have to do them, but you should still do them. Everybody's got a light, and everybody's light dims. The story ends the same way every single time, which is this guy that you love to see perform stops performing. So the key is to keep that window, and nobody knows what it is. It's already predetermined. It's the big guy in the sky. You don't have a whole lot of control over it. But you do have some influence on it, and following the basics of setting something up for yourself to do tomorrow is paramount. Masvidal's doing that. I want you guys to see this. Masvidal did not become the second biggest star in this sport on accident. It was very well planned. He knew things are happening. Guys around me are bigger stars than I am, and I'm doing the same thing they am. I'm working just as hard. I'm making just as many flights. I'm spending just as many nights alone to a cold dinner in a hotel room away from my family. Why are they getting all the credit? He started to look at it, he started to study it, and he started to change his behaviors. And now he's a guy that you can look to copy. He's setting a great example. Masvidal's a very good leader for the locker room. The organization of the UFC is better having Masvidal in it, but guys have to observe it, and then they have to copy him. So Masvidal's already began, as the media builds up, to spread and sprinkle through the media, not a full focus to Colby Covington, a fight that he already has. He could never say Colby's name again. He's going to fight him. He's going to make a bunch of money. Everybody's going to watch. It's going to be a main event. He already has those things. What he doesn't have is his next fight, so he's using and leveraging the media that he is guaranteed because of the Colby fight to start another fight. It's very basic. It's very simple, but nobody does it. I've talked to you guys until I'm blue in the face about the useless waste of talent we have within the heavyweight division. No heavyweight is speaking up. None. The biggest star at heavyweight drinks beer out of a stranger's shoe. That's a gimmick. It's not a skill. It's not a talent. It's a ruse. It's also the only gimmick or ruse in the entire division. So of course it's the best. Of course it's the number one stunt. Of course it's the one that gets broken off and shared over all platforms. It's the only one. You have no heavyweight that is even aware enough of their division that all they have to do is sneeze and everybody will talk about it. They have no competition. You want to know a heavyweight that I like? You guys know Rosenstrike? I think Rosenstrike should get more credit than he does. Rosenstrike had two bad things happen to him. One was Ngannou, and another one, Rosenstrike stubs his toe with. Aside from that, the guy's been perfect. He's very good. He's come back from the jaws of defeat to capture victory like he did with Overeem. He's a main event fighter, but he doesn't demand. I look at Rosenstrike and I go, all right, here's the guy. He's special. He looks special. He looks fantastic. He's got incredible skills. He's hungry. He's working hard. He moved his camp to Florida. He's taken all the sacrifices. He gets big fights. He gets co-main events. He's a main event quality guy. But he doesn't demand his attention. He accepts, well, I lost to Francis, so Francis gets to go and do this before I do. That only makes sense. A lot of you don't even know those two fought. UFC 246 in May of last year or the year before. Who gives a goddamn? Go out and take it. And Rosenstrike is a very intimidating guy with a very good set of skills. Full disclosure, I met him one time. He treated me wonderfully. That's true. But there was a charisma to him. He was a cool guy. Rosenstrike should be out in front of the cameras right now. He should be demanding, not waiting for the cameras to find him, not waiting for opportunities to find him. The only thing that he does, his skills are there. His look is there. His name is out there. But he's not demanding that he get it. He's not even suggesting for us as to what's next. He's waiting to hear, and then he'll go and do a level of building a fight up. There's no conflict there. That doesn't mean Rozenstruik won't attempt to manufacture conflict, because conflict does sell. But if you got the phone call for some random name, how real is the audience supposed to believe that conflict could possibly be? If the conflict arises prior to the signing of the contract, now we know it's authentic. And Rozenstruik finally spoke up earlier today. And he started making some demands for himself, and I loved it. I loved it. I happen to believe in him for one. He happens to be a very scary guy. You know, even when he goes out there and gets knocked out by Ngannou, he got knocked out by Ngannou because he stepped right in the pocket and said, let's trade. He got in a gunfight on worldwide TV. So what? The other guy drew first. He gets credit from me. He walked out there like a man. He knew what he was getting into. He knew the dangers of being in there, and he put himself in it anyway. I think Rozenstruik's a stud. I also think that he's got some real star qualities. And I don't think stubbing your toe against Curtis behind you. To hell with it. Bring up old stuff. What's going to be next? It's very incumbent that you set that up if you want control of your own career. If you want the audience to believe that you have a problem with the guy standing across from you, but you never mentioned his name until after a contract was signed, the audience isn't that foolish. They're just not. The order of the conflict is very important. Does it precede the signing of a bout agreement? And I bring that to, and I bring these comparisons, one, because I like to talk about Rozenstruik. I like Rozenstruik. Other side of it, Masvidal's doing it. If the second biggest draw in the sport, who's about to be a main event, that's completely sold out, does something, you should see what it is. Masvidal is a thinker. That's the one thing you guys don't know about him. He's a thinker, and he's calculated. If it comes out of Masvidal's mouth, there's a strategy and a plan. The strategy and plan that Masvidal put into action 3 years ago came to fruition. If you don't study that very closely, or if you do study it and you think it was the growing of your hair and putting on a Versace shirt, you're not seeing it, and it's right in front of your face. Masvidal has a sold-out fight coming up. He's now looking for his next one. He says that's going to be Nate Diaz. Nate Diaz said no problem. And we know that's not a problem because they've already done it once. Those guys have unfinished business. That story works. But somebody's going to claim Nate. And Nate is very eager. Nate is going to say yes. Nate's been called out 3 times in the last 4 months. He accepted all of them. So if you have a willing Nate Diaz, but you don't have the sense to go out there and get on the docket with him, that's your mistake. That's a mistake that's not being made by Jorge Masvidal.